So Kim Se-ron, this is really terrible. I've read all the details and all the scandals and the controversies, and to me this was pure, unadulterated, undue cruelty and malice that drove her to her demise. Yes, DUI is bad, but she did her part in atonement. She was sentenced, she paid her fines. Not only that, she paid back the businesses that were affected by her driving into the transformer, which caused a major power outage. She visited each of the 57 stores affected and compensated them for the damages. Also, the supposed scandal with Kim Soo-hyun, like, who cares? This is the part that I never understand. 왜 니네들이 남의 사생활에 상관을 하냐고, 이 씨발놈들아. So the demand for moral perfection in Korea for almost exclusively celebrities verges on psychosis, so much that you don't even have to do anything wrong yourself. And the prime example of that is Microdot. Microdot, whose real name is Shin Jae-ho, is a Korean New Zealander rapper who first gained recognition as part of a hip-hop duo with Doki. This was when he was 12, and then his career really took off in 2015. He was one of the hottest hip-hop stars in the mid to late 2010s. He was on Show Me the Money, on Pretty Rap Star, and he went on various TV programs. Then came the fraud scandal involving his parents that resurfaced in 2018. So this is a summary. In 1998, Microdot's parents allegedly borrowed $400,000. Some say it's $2 million, but what's been legally confirmed is $400,000 worth of won from neighbors and acquaintances in Jecheon, South Korea. They then took this money and fled to New Zealand without repaying their debts. This is when he was 4. Fast forward 2 decades, when Microdot's popularity grew, the victims recognized him and his family through a TV program called 나 혼자 산다 in 2018. The victims came forward, leading to a major public outcry. Initially, Microdot denied the allegations, stating that he would take legal action against those spreading false information, which that's on him. He should have looked a bit more carefully because more evidence emerged, including news reports from back then that clearly outlined the crimes of his parents, and he eventually acknowledged it and apologized and vowed to make things right. In 2019, Microdot's parents returned to South Korea and were arrested on fraud charges, and in 2020, the court sentenced his father to 3 years in prison while sentencing his mother to 1 year in prison. And once they were released, they were deported back to New Zealand to never be allowed on Korea again. Now, yes, it didn't work to Microdot's favor that he denied the allegations with legal threats that he had painted his childhood as difficult, that his family lived in near poverty in New Zealand, and that his parents' wealth in New Zealand was a result of their own hard work. That was the part of the narrative that Microdot weaved in his career. But let us be clear, this was not his crime. He was 4 when this happened. This was not his crime. And being a Korean myself, I know how Korean parents just don't tell things to their kids at all. Microdot likely didn't know. He likely thought, oh, these people are besmirching my parents' name. My parents who raised me, supported me, and are good people as far as I know. So of course he's going to stand up for his parents first. And what's more, he came forward saying that he would take responsibility for the damages his parents caused. He spent 6 years after this to meet the victims and settle with them. He has paid hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of money to the victims. And despite his attempts to return to rapping, people are still canceling him. It is madness. This is basically mental illness to care this much about ruining someone's life, but I think it's also hypocritical when the elites, especially politicians, make grave transgressions all the time. Listen, if Lee Jae-myung is able to run for presidency after all of that and even be hailed as the hero of Korean democracy by some, if Yoon is being hailed as the protector of Korea by a surprisingly large portion of Koreans after all of that, Microdot should be able to come back. And people should have been able to forgive Kim Se-ron and let her move on. And this is actually a big reason why I am happy that Korean culture has gone global, because it's time Koreans see how ridiculous, evil, and psychotic their demand for moral perfection.
Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, Africans. I hope you're doing fine where you are, and if you ain't doing fine, please do fine where you are. You see, there is a proverb, an African proverb that says, a warning to the wise person is a blessing, but a warning to a fool is an insult. Yeah, you've really, really wronged them by giving them a warning. You see? And also, there's another proverb which says, appearance is not reality. And unfortunately, appearance is the reality to so many of us right now in the world. We focus so much on the outside that we forget to maintain the inner side to be clean. We focus more on the sanity of the outside than the sanity of the inside. Yeah? So today I'm not talking about Africa only. I'm speaking about a group of individuals who are Asians. The Asians I'm speaking about are all the way from a country that I also love a lot, South Korea. South Korea is where we have Samsung. Yeah, they build Samsung. And I think I have one of their devices. Let me show you. This is a Samsung. My first tablet was bought for me by an African American. I think she lives in Jamaica. She's been very supportive for a very long time, and she bought me a tablet. Yeah, my very first tablet was bought by an African American, and it was a Samsung. So speaking about South Korea and how does it relate with my proverbs where we say that a warning is a blessing to the wise, and why is it that appearance is not reality? It is because you've heard many times that if people want to do plastic surgery, you want to change your face, you want to look beautiful, you want to look like a celebrity, a K-pop idol, you go to a town in South Korea. It's called Busan. It's the capital of makeups. It's the capital of face surgery. Today, even people add their breast becomes larger. People change their skin, they look white. People change their bum becomes huge. You know, we've set the standard for these people. You need to have big breasts. You need to have light skin. You need to have big nyash. That is the standards we've set for our ladies. And also men have their own standards. You've heard of men putting syringe, you know, they become very muscular, unnaturally muscular, you know, which is a wrong thing. It is the society which has set these standards for these people. And particularly, it is not just anyone who does this pumping and genetic enhancement. These things are done by celebrities, and whoever is commanding these celebrities are their fans. So if you fail to act the way your fans want you to do, you become irrelevant. Today we call it canceling. You become cancelled, you know. Cancellation, not canceling, but cancellation. They cancel you, they stop following you, they unsubscribe and all that. Such a hard thing. That's why I find it hard to go on Instagram and start posting video. That's why I also find it hard to go on TikTok and start posting videos. YouTube is the only place where you find it. You can do your own thing without somebody telling you you need to meet a certain cultural standard that is being set by a community that you live in. Of course, we have those things which you shouldn't do. Those are just common sense. Don't insult, don't target a group of individuals. We know that actually YouTube sends its policy updates each month for each creator. It is upon us to study them and to make sure we are in guidelines with those YouTube policies. You understand? But the society in South Korea is so much worrying because many of these K-pop are losing their lives, and they are losing their lives because of their fans. You know, they have to always keep changing, always keep changing. There's a series of video. I want us to watch them to have a clearer image of what I'm telling you. I shall get back.
I might get a lot of backlash for this, but as someone that's born and raised in Korea, the whole Kim Tae-dong situation is not surprising to me. Like, just imagine going from being one of the most famous and successful female child actresses in Korea to losing your reputation, losing all of your job, and being in $500,000 in debt overnight. Like, most people cannot deal with it. She had to change her name to even get a regular job as barista, which she ended up getting fired because somebody exposed her. What this tells me is that we, especially we as Koreans, need to do so much better as a society. I have no intention to defend her for driving drunk, but we as a society also need to learn how to forgive people and move on and give them a second chance. I also think that it should be mandated for agencies to provide celebrities mental health education because they're literally exposed with no protection. I don't know, I see this happen so many times growing up, and even now nothing has changed. It's always the same circle. They make one bad mistake, nobody's gonna forgive them ever. Their whole career is gone. They cannot go back to their regular life. They get into depression and they ended up taking their own lives because they can't face all the hate that they're getting. And when they're gone, everyone is like, oh, we missed you, we love you. What's the point of saying all that when they're not even here anymore? We've got to do so much better as a society, like seriously.
Here's the thing about Korea. A lot of people think that South Koreans are super vain and that we are just all about looks and we all want to be the plastic surgery capital of the world so we can look like your favorite K-pop idol. That's not really the case. I can see why people might think that because of the plastic surgery statistics in South Korea. But listen, your average South Korean is not trying to get plastic surgery so that they can be a K-pop star. They're trying to get plastic surgery so that they can get a work promotion at their corporate job. And you're like, that's dumb. That doesn't even make sense, okay? Because South Korea, the job market is so intense. It's not like here, okay? You have like 5 companies that everybody wants to work for. That's it. You live your whole life trying to get into these 5 companies. And then from there, you're trying to get promoted in these 5 companies. But let's say everybody has the same grades as you. They have the same extracurricular activities as you. What's going to make you stand out? You know the pretty privilege? You know the halo effect? When someone is pretty and smart, it seems like they're even prettier and even smarter than someone who's just really smart or just really pretty. So, I mean, the whole thing is nuanced. I mean, it's kind of here in the US too, but a lot of people in Korea will get plastic surgery right after they graduate high school. This is like their going to college present. Typically, it's like double eyelid surgery, maybe a rhinoplasty, things like
President Yoon of South Korea's mother-in-law is heading to jail as of now. She has been convicted of basically fraud, inflating her net worth so that she could participate in real estate investment in partnership with others. She's obviously denying all the charges, claiming that it's not her intention. There's testimonies of people saying that's not the case. Well, it seems like that's the case, and she's heading to jail. This is obviously a big deal because it's a direct family member of the president of South Korea. South Korean politics has always not been very clean. People going to jail left and right. It's especially exciting amidst both our previous president and our current president involved in family and direct related lawful charges, both of which seem to be going haywire and unsure of when and where the results will come out to. As you guys see this and hear about South Korea's president's family going to jail and potentially existing presidents of the United States and previous facing criminal charges, what are your thoughts?
Why do you think so many Western women are going to Korea to find a boyfriend? Compared to other Asian countries, Korea seems to have a lot of foreign women dating Korean men.
I think K-pop idol and then K-drama, Korean drama, they're very good at act. So they manipulated people by media, and then Korean guy must be like this behave always.
Yeah.
But it's not.
No, I have never seen a Korean guy and just been like, yeah, you fit that one drama that I've watched. None of them fit the drama you watched. Because dramas are fake.
Yeah, fake.
A drama is not real. It's not real life.
They trained.
I feel like they all try to show themselves, not even themselves. The marketing around them is very perfect.
Did you know that there's a really interesting reason why Korea and not Japan or China is epicenter of pop culture in Asia today? In fact, Korean culture is one of the biggest exports for the country, with hundreds of thousands of foreigners visiting the country every single year. And it dominates in terms of the entertainment industry compared to other Asian countries such as China or Japan. And all this really started back in the 1990s when the Korean government first acknowledged the importance of a cultural industry. And a report was even submitted to the Presidential Advisor Board citing Jurassic Park. You see, the profits from the Jurassic Park movie was equivalent to exporting 1.5 million Hyundais. And as a response, the government there established the Cultural Industry Bureau. And every single year, the Korean government would pour millions and millions of dollars into Korean dramas, movies, and music. And Korea's investment into their media really paid off since the cultural trade flow tended to move from the west to the east. And for the first time ever, Eastern media was flowing into countries like Europe as well as America. And the so-called Korean wave has brought on a sense of cultural pride that has never been seen in the country before. And none of this would have been possible if it wasn't for the support of the Korean government, which started back in the early 1990s. And it finally allowed Korea's cultural industry to be recognized worldwide.
I've been living in Korea for 5 years now, and I have a lot of people ask me how and why did I move to South Korea. And I don't think I've ever really gotten into the story, so we're going to get into that right now. So basically, I had graduated from university. I had gotten like a full-time job. I was working, I actually had multiple full-time jobs. And the job paid well, the benefits were really great, and I liked the job. But it was so routine, and I hate routine. I hate routine. After being there and meeting people who had been there for years, like there were people who were there for 22 years who were still working the same position. They didn't want to move up. Not to say that there wasn't any room for me to move up, but I just didn't see a future with the company, even though it was a great company. And my roommate at the time, like I owe me being here all to him. So thank you. Shout out to Arnold. So both of us were just very stagnant in our lives and in our jobs, we felt like. And I remember one day we were sitting watching TV. We were watching Family Guy, where they start talking about Korea. And at the time, I knew nothing about Korea at all. This one episode, they're talking about it, and they keep playing clips of Sistar in the video, and we didn't know who Sistar was at the time. So we looked them up, we find out that they're from Korea, they're a K-pop girl group, and then we start, for some reason, we go down the rabbit hole of foreigners living in other countries. We start looking into Europe, we start looking into Australia, then we get into Asia. So my roommate decides like, oh dude, like maybe we should move to Asia, or we should move to Korea and teach English. And I was like, there's no way I can do that. Like, I don't even have a degree in teaching English. But it turns out that you can move here as long as you are from a certain country and you speak English natively, you have a 4-year degree, you're qualified. I was actually super afraid to make the jump and leave my job to go to a country that I knew nothing about. So he ends up moving away, moves to Korea, and he's like, dude, I love it. Like, you need to come out here. You need to come at least for a year. I had my heart set on Australia. I was like, okay, I'm gonna move to Australia, start my life there. I really was into Australia for years, and I always wanted to move there. Finally, he convinced me. He's like, just apply. So I decided to apply, and I hear nothing back. At the same time, I'm still trying to work on like my acting, modeling, stuff like that. And I decided that I'm quitting my job and I'm gonna move to, is this car trying to park here? I'm quitting my job and I'm gonna move to Atlanta, because I was like, okay, I can get started there. It's really good for black actors, etc. Pack up everything in my U-Haul, and as I'm on the highway, I got my car hitched on the back, my dog in the front seat with me, and I get a call from my recruiter. They offer me the job, they offer me the position, and I have to decide, all right, I either go to Atlanta and try to make something happen, or I just leave for a year and see what I can make of it. Clearly, I chose to come and try it out for a year, because what the fuck else was I doing? So I came here, something in this city just made me feel alive, and I was like, I have to stay here. And like, teaching was great, don't get me wrong, but I knew that it wasn't for me, especially not long term. So obviously you guys see that I made a career and a life for myself here outside of teaching, and so it's just possible for you to do it too. But that's pretty much how I ended up moving here. I just applied for a teaching program, I had all my credentials, I had to go through a bunch of background checks and everything like that, and then I was able to move to Korea. No, I did not know Korean at the time. Yes, I'm still learning Korean. I don't know, I love it here, and I've made a life for myself. I've made a lot of friends here. I know a lot of people come here and they don't have the best time, especially as a foreigner here or being black here. I have not experienced any of that, really. I've always had a great time living here, and I've always had a great time making friends and meeting people. It's been super easy for me. So for the people who are having a harder time meeting people and making friends, branch out more, stick it out longer. Like, I did have a girl who came here once, like, she found my videos, I helped her get a job here, and she stayed for 4 days and went back to her country because she was like, it's not for me. Give it some time, it takes a long time. Like, even me, I had a whole 2 months of an adjustment period before I was able to really get into the flow of things and really enjoy my time here. So stick it out. If you guys need any help, if you have any more questions about Korea or moving here or anything like that, feel free to ask me. So hopefully this video helped.
I think Korea broke my heart a couple times.
Wow, okay.
Because I would trust people, I would trust that relationship. Korea was the first country that I'm like, oh my God, I love these people. I want to live here. This is like so heartwarming,
Yeah,
you know,
generous, kind,
friendly,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I'm like, I love Koreans. I want to stay here forever.
Yeah.
And I remember at the time, some Korean friends like, hey, like hold your horses.
Calm down.
Yeah, you're a little too enthusiastic.
Yeah.
Like, just wait. You don't know them enough. But I was like, heart first. It hurts because you trust them, and sometimes it's just financially. Sometimes it's emotional too, because you're like, how could you treat me like that?
Break it to you, but if you're a foreigner and you're not white, the chance that you're going to be considered pretty in Korea is extremely low. You know, Korea has very specific beauty standards, and that being said, no matter if you're a foreigner or not, you have to fit into beauty standards if you want to be called pretty.
Girl, it is giving Koreans don't find me pretty, so they will never find you pretty because you're a foreigner and you're not white and blonde. I don't even know what was the purpose of that video, but that sounds so bad and there's a lot to unpack there. I saw that creator a few times on my FYP and I thought like, oh my god, that's a Korean girl that moved to the US and she's denouncing the crazy South Korean beauty standards. but I was so surprised to see that she came up with this video. It looks like she also believes in that South Korean beauty standard, and because she doesn't fit in, it's literally impossible for her to think that other people who are not white and not Korean could be considered pretty in Korea. And that's so insane to me. Like, I get it, I'm a black girl and there are a lot of racist people, but at the same time, like, don't tell me I'm ugly. What? I mean, I didn't come to Korea to fit in the Korean beauty standards because I'm literally from another race, so I'm not expecting to fit in their beauty standards, okay? But do not tell me I'm ugly, because I'm not. Whenever I look at the mirror, I see a baddie, and I get told that I'm baddie every day. The first thing that I got told when I got down from the plane in South Korea was, "Wow, 진짜 예쁘다." And that was from an old Korean lady, an ajumma. She was literally like, "Wow, 예쁘다." And she came to me and she started talking to me and asking me a bunch of questions because she thought I was pretty. I mean, I get it. Korea has crazy colorist beauty standards. Beauty is so subjective. So, like, if you think that I'm not pretty, like, keep it to yourself. Don't come here trying to convince me that I'm not pretty because I don't fit in the Korean beauty standards. What the hell? Anyways, I don't know. What do you guys think about this? Bye.
Why is every photo of a Korean, the women especially, why are they so pale? Are they like genuinely pale people, or is there a filter? Why is everyone so white? That's my question.
Okay, to be honest with you, this is another beauty standard I was talking about.
The paleness?
The paleness. I can see a lot of my Korean friends who are not as pale as they should be. They have like very, very low self-confidence because they think that they're not pale enough.
Are you guys afraid to go in the sun? Like, are you afraid to tan?
I have no problem. But yes, Asians, they do a lot of time.
I mean, are they afraid to tan to become too dark so that they cannot become like the optimal model?
That's one. The other reason is because they really care about their skin health and they know the damages that the sun, which is very true. And when I came to Korea, I'm like reapplying the sunscreen every few hours.
Today? Did you quit?
I did, of course.
Today? It's like -3.
No, it doesn't matter. It does.
It's just about the sun, the strength of the sun?
Yeah.
Koreans are the underdogs of Asians.
You think so?
They're the black race of Asians.
You think so?
No,
wow.
it's not I think. I know it's glaring.
Okay.
Why I say so is because two things. I think the only Asians that have been enslaved to a degree.
Oh, by the Japanese, yeah.
By the Japanese. They've been taken advantage by foreigners. Oh my goodness. I feel so bad with what they have been through, you know, and I feel that with the parents having to pay the price that they have paid to bring Korea to where it is, I don't blame Koreans for being conservatives. I don't blame the government putting Koreans first.
One thing that Koreans do often that I absolutely despise is looking down on Southeast Asians, that they're somehow not as good, that it's an insult to be mistaken for Filipinos or Thai. And a lot of this comes from Koreans' perception that these countries are poor, they're less developed, which are very outdated perceptions, by the way. And not to mention, Koreans, like many East Asians, idolize pale skin. They tend to just not like darker skin tones. Just look at the issue of Copinos, where Korean men go to the Philippines, sleep with Filipino women who become pregnant, and the men just run off back to Korea, abandoning the mother and their children. And a big part of why this happens is because there are a lot of Korean men who think these women in these countries are just playthings for them because they come from a richer country with more money. It's an absolutely disgusting mentality. But Koreans should not treat people from the ASEAN countries like this, not just because it's the decent thing to treat everyone with respect and dignity, but also for the reason of karma, because have Koreans forgotten Pyeongjahoran when the Qing invaded Korea, called Joseon at the time, in 1636? The Qing dynasty was a country raised by the Jurchens, known as Yeojin in Korean. The Jurchen people lived in northeastern China, right above Korea. They were semi-nomads who generally lived in tribes without a central authority. And for the longest time, Koreans treated the Jurchens terribly. There's a passage in the veritable records of the Joseon dynasty, otherwise known as Joseon Wangjusilok, that writes, "These Jurchens are beneath us and they are our servants." Joseon would repeatedly attack and harass the Jurchens. They would invade and take land. They would decimate their people. They considered them savages that needed to be put in their place. Well, guess what? these savages raised an empire. They united under Nurhaci, defeated and humiliated the Ming dynasty. Then they invaded Joseon, got the king to surrender, in which the king of Joseon knelt 3 times and bowed 9 times in front of Qing's emperor at the time, Hong Taiji, and promised to be their servant state. This part of history is called 삼전도의 굴욕, the humiliation at 삼전도. This is how proud the Joseon people were, that they recorded this as humiliation because they never thought these people that were below them would ever grow to be so strong. But this was not humiliation. This was karma. And you know what? This can happen again. Sure, Korean culture is riding a high right now. Korea is economically advanced and whatnot. But there is a future where Southeast Asian countries become so much stronger and richer than us and have way more cultural cachet than us. It can happen. And you know, at the present state of how Korea is going, it will happen. And the kind of relationship we will have with them then will be determined by the kind of relationship we have with them now. It's not that people should be nice to people only because of the fear of potential payback later down the line. Being nice and giving respect is the bare minimum. I'm saying this because there are a lot of Koreans who need to hear it this way, because a lot of Koreans instinctively put people in levels and treat them accordingly, not knowing that these levels are completely arbitrary and they also shift all the time. Especially when Southeast Asians have been nothing but amazing to Korea, even when we were the poorest country in the world. Because have we forgotten how the Philippines and Thailand deployed thousands of troops to help the South in the Korean War? So to all the Koreans who think that they're better than others, they're better than Southeast Asians, get out of here with that. 그런 생각을 한다는 것 자체가 네 인간성 급을 알려주는 거야. 반성해.
Now, after clearly listening to these videos from each and every individual speaking their experience in South Korea and with the South Koreans, what I can clearly tell is that these people are people who are suffering because of the influences of British colonization. You might ask me, did the British colonize South Korea? No, they didn't colonize South Korea, but someone else did. The Japanese colonized South Korea. But what happened after? During the wars, the world wars, which happened, Japan lost, and after Japan had lost, USA took upon itself to come and build, these military training camps in South Korea. There are so many military training camps which belongs to the United States of America in South Korea. These people are always fighting one another. And it is through the power of United States of America that that South Korea was able to separate itself from the other half of Korea, which we today know as Northern Korea. It was the help of the United States of America. But now, who helped the United States? Who colonized, rather? The USA. The USA was colonized by Britain. It was up to until 1775 that they got their independence from the British. And so the USA people of America have always had that ideology. They have always had that thought that was set by their colonizers, who are the same British, So the West, let me now use the West. The West has built kind of bubble for the whole world to see that they are the ones who are setting the standards of beauty. And if you are closer to looking like white or looking like pale, white people, they are really white people. Many Africans don't know between a white person, an Arab, a Chinese, an Asian. We don't know much of that, many of us. So real white people were coming from the Caucasus Mountains, and they are very white as snow. There are people from the Nordic areas, people from the Serbian areas, the Bering Sea, people from Greenland, people from Iceland, very white, people from Norway, people from Finland, Hungary, Netherlands. It is because of the cold temperatures that they become white. It's a physiological, it is a environmental thing and also a genetic thing, It is not something that they've worked towards achieving. No, because even science, through Lamech's law, we are told that characteristics that you have acquired from the environment, you cannot pass it to your offspring if they are not genetic. If you acquired muscle through lifting weights, you cannot pass that body to your child unless they have the genetic for bodies. You understand the logic, right? So if characteristics acquired from the environment cannot be passed from parents to offspring. So the pale skin is a genetic thing, and it's also a physiological process that happened. Now for the South Koreans, that's not a genetic or a physiological thing. It's a feature that has been inherited from the environment. You've acquired it from the environment by bleaching, by changing your face, by doing all that to look more like a white person. But to what extent? To what extent? To what extent? These people are setting their genetic conditions to be a standard for everyone, but we all have different genetic makeups. Africans have different genetic makeups than the Europeans, than the Asians, than the other races. Each individual race has their own genetic makeup. That's why someone cannot say that black race is superior than white race, or white race is superior than a black race. We can never say that. Everyone is equal. Everyone is standard. Everyone is the way God set them to be. Yeah, God set them to be equal. Yeah, there's nobody who is a slave to someone else. No, I don't believe that. I don't believe Africans are people who are cursed. I don't believe that. So for the South Koreans, bleaching, it's to resemble the British, to resemble the West, And also, you find the job market, the LG shops, companies, the Samsung companies, the Sony companies, all these companies in South Korea, the Hyundai, the motor vehicle company, all these companies are trying to, bring people who are having lighter skin, people who are close to white, people who are having a particular set of traits. But no. This is brainwash that has reached these people. It takes the government to crack down on such kind of norms and abolish them. Just the same way in Africa we are trying to abolish female genital mutilation. This idea of employing people whom you think are better than others because of their physical beauty and all that is a wrong thing to do. It shouldn't be done. See, if you are qualified for a job is when you should make up for that job, but not because you are light. No. You might be light skinned, but you have nothing in your head. You might be a black skin, but you know how to speak to people. You might be light skinned still, and you know how to speak to people. You are much intelligent. You might be black and you have nothing. You see, the variable is complex, It's complex. So to make things simple, to make people live in harmony with one another, this idea of colorism should be dealt with away and away. And people should now start knowing that these celebrities are just humans like them. Don't set standards for people that you yourself you will not pass through. Sometimes there's a time I was very, very sick myself. I almost perished. I was very, 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 very sick by some serious allergic conditions, So there are some people whom I thought would visit. There are some people whom I thought wouldn't visit. Some people didn't visit me. Maybe they didn't understand the intensity. It is after leaving the hospital that people are told, oh, I didn't come because of this and that. Oh, this and that, this and that. They're telling you they wouldn't come because of some conditions, because of some situations that held them. But they would attend your burial, right? They wouldn't see you if you're sick, but they would attend your burial. Now it follows that if you have, I might understand, you might not really understand a calamity. You cannot fully understand that situation, a hard situation, until you yourself or a loved one experiences the same. You can never understand it. So I do say I don't wish anyone to pass through anything, but I understand they don't have a good understanding. It is better they don't have the good understanding. But if they were to have a good understanding, it will be at a cost to them. The same way with these people who are forcing these celebrities into their deaths. These people are just humans like you and me. They have faults. They have pimples. They have mucus in their noses. They have wax in their ears. They have dirt in their eye. They go through their periods. They go through wet dreams. They're just humans. Come on. Let's take these people as equal. These people are perishing for no reason because of the standards we've set to them. You know, you have to bleach, you have to have big bam bam, you have to have big boobs, you need to be muscular, you need to have a lot of facial hair. No. God made us this way for a reason. He made us this way for a reason. I can't say, why am I tall? I want to be short like so. No, I can't say that. God knows why he made me tall. He knows why. There is somebody somewhere who admires to be tall, but I myself, I might admire to be short, but there's someone somewhere admiring to be short, to be tall. So let's learn to appreciate ourselves first. After we appreciate ourselves, let's try to understand other people and not impose our shortcomings on other people. The shortcomings we have, let's not copy-paste them on other individuals. And if they fail to live up to our expectation, we crucify them. That is the worst thing that can ever happen to a human being. Sometimes, I repeat, you can never experience a calamity or understand it until it happens to you or it happens to your loved one. Yeah. This is EFK Original Documentaries. If you like what I do, kindly subscribe. See you in the next one. And stay loved. Be lovable.